Steelers hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. And we actually have co-lead stories today. Jayden Daniels Mic'd Up was released on Friday, and it was well worth the wait. I wasn't sure if we were going to get an individual Mic'd Up because Jayden Daniels was a part of Turning Point, the NFL Turning Point show that they do that was narrated by Louis Riddick. And then he was also a part of the NFL's Mic'd Up segment this week, along with Sam Darnold and I think it was one of the Jacksonville Jaguars players. So I wasn't sure if we were going to get our individualized Mic'd Up featuring Jayden Daniels or not. Happy to say that we did. It was 14 minutes of pure fire. Enjoyed it. And you got to see some of his leadership qualities. I think that was the thing that shined through the most. And then, you know, he's a happy-go-lucky guy, lovable, very affable. You could see that on the sideline. Obviously, he has a really good relationship with Sam Hartman. And, you know, a lot of times I think as fans, I know I'm not necessarily guilty of this. And if you've ever played on a team, then you know this as well. And you understand this dynamic. But there are guys that aren't key contributors, guys that, you know, to the naked eye, right, can't necessarily understand the value of a guy that's on the sidelines or on the bench. But if you've ever been on a team, one of your best friends is probably a dude that isn't getting clock, or one of the dudes you like to joke with the most is somebody that's not getting a lot of run. But they're a big glue guy. They kind of hold the thing together. I feel like Sam Hartman is one of those guys for that quarterback room because Jayden is a younger guy. So is Sam Hartman. I think they both came in together, same draft class. And I just think there is a ton of respect for one another, but they also like to have fun. Sam Hartman obviously likes to have fun. And we've seen him show up in other people's Mic'd Up. And then when they do those little, you know, questions, when they ask players things as they're walking by, Hartman's been a part of those as well. And you can tell he's a funny dude. So him and Jayden Daniels obviously have a tremendous relationship. They joke around a lot. And, you know, I had brought this up when Nabusi, who the Patriots had snatched up off of our practice squad and then cut him after he didn't pass a physical, that hurt. Like, he's the ultimate hype guy. Remember, I would always ask you guys, well, I only asked you once because after I didn't know who he was the first time, I was like, I got to find out who this guy is because I'm seeing him too often. He's always got that big ass link chain around his neck. And that makes a huge difference when you got guys that are for the team, that are hyping everyone up. And that was Nabusi on the sideline and in the locker room. And that guy's going to be missed, right? Even when we watched, who was mic'd up? I want to say it was Dante Fowler Jr. And, you know, Nabusi kept coming over him and telling him, you know, you a dog, go get him. And he was getting them hyped up. Like, you need those guys. And I think we got to see Sam Hartman being one of those dudes with Jayden Daniels. When Jayden was like, yo, it's low-key hype. Like, the stadium, I told y'all had the stadium rocking on Sunday night against the Atlanta Falcons. And Dan Quinn even made mention of it after the game, you know, in the post-game, like, yo, the stadium was rocking and you guys were a huge part of the win. And you can feel it at home, you know, and Mike Tirico even said it multiple times that, you know, the stadium was super loud. And we had already said prior to the game that this was a good game for the Commanders to be on national television because it wasn't against an NFC East opponent that was going to come in and try to take over the stadium. It was against an opponent who doesn't travel well, who doesn't have this massive fan base that lives all across the United States. And so you weren't going to have to worry about this takeover. It was going to be mostly Commanders fans, and it was, and they showed up and showed out. And Jayden was like, man, it's low-key, lit in here, man. This joint's crazy. And Sam Hartman's like, they're here because of you. And all Jayden could do was smile because he's not wrong. You know what I mean? He's not wrong. So Jayden was like, yo, I'm hot, which, that's his way. And, a lot of dudes' ways of saying, hey, I'm mic'd up, right? You hear I'm the feds, I'm hot. And so, once you got the mic, don't nobody really want to be around you because, dudes want to be themselves. They want to be authentic. They don't want to have to worry about what's being said. And generally, look, it's a funny thing, but they're not going to put anything out there that's embarrassing. They're not going to put something out there that somebody doesn't want out there. They're not going to, we got the footage, we're going to put it out. But guys are just a lot more cognizant of, hey, he got the mic on. Once the game starts, nobody's thinking about who's wearing the mic, right? But before the game, it's all fun and games. And nobody wanted to sit next to him. It was funny. Jayden was like, I don't like this. I don't have any friends. I don't like this, right? And so Tavita's over there going through, some of the things he needs to have in his mind as he hits the field. And he's kind of giving him a few pointers. Hey, keep your eyes up down the field when you roll out, extend plays, be a playmaker. Don't, make sure. So I'm glad to hear that too, because these are things that we were wondering, are they emphasizing this to him? And Tavita's giving him those last few pointers. Because again, once you get to the game, we've done the preparation. I don't want to overload you. You know what to do. I'll be here to give you little pointers here and there, but for the most part, you got this, right? But I'm going to just give you a couple of more pointers on the way out the door. You got this, though. Just a little reminder, hey, keep your eyes up when you get out of the pocket. You're a playmaker. They got to respect you. They suck up. You find the receiver. He did it with Zach Ertz in that game, if you recall. He did it with OZ on the touchdown on the 4th down on the first possession. So those were some key pointers. But, after Tavita finishes talking to him, he looks at Tavita and he goes, nobody wants to sit with me. And he says, I don't neither. He's like, you mic'd up, I'm out. And he leaves him. And Jay's like, I don't like this. So that was funny. And then I think what we probably appreciated as fans the most was his leadership, right? Just, you hear Dan Quinn and you hear Cliff Kingsbury talk about his leadership qualities and, how everybody leads differently. Bobby Wagner's a quiet leader. He leads by example. Jonathan Allen's a rah-rah leader. So he's going to be the guy that's in the middle of the, huddle, or he's going to be in the middle of the breakdown before the game, getting everybody hyped up, right? And then, you got guys like Terry who speak up every so often when it needs to be done. And then, Jayden, I think he's probably more of a quiet, reserved guy, right? But you could see he takes command of the huddle. Like, hey, guys, let's go win the game right now. Come on, let's go, right? Let's huddle up. Hurry up. Get to the line of scrimmage. Like, you heard him be, very demanding of those guys, what you have to do. You have to take command of the huddle. But you also heard him, and I think this is probably all of our favorite, parts of this mic'd up, is he was able to go to Terry after throwing a touchdown pass to Zach Ertz. And obviously Terry had a very frustrating night. And, I had to, go up against people who were saying, man, Terry got clamped. And I'm like, nah, that ain't what happened, right? He wasn't accurate when he was throwing the ball to Terry. And so there were missed opportunities. And you could sense Terry was a little frustrated, but he went over to Terry. He grabbed him out. Hey, look at me. Stay with me. You're going to make a big play. He ultimately didn't make a big play in the game. But that's what you want from your leader. And this guy's a rookie. Talking to a guy that's been in the league, 5-6 years and saying, hey, stay with me. You're going to make a big play. You're going to have an impact on this game. And ultimately, Terry did have a massive impact as a blocker in this game. But Jayden had the wherewithal to go to a guy that he could see was frustrated and say, hey, stay in the game. Stay with me. We're going to make this thing happen. And that shows you what type of a quarterback we got. We got one of them ones, man. Because it's not just about what you can do on the field. It's also about keeping others engaged. And it's not always going to be pretty. Last week was 1 catch on 7 targets for Terry. That's a frustrating game. And now you got people saying AJ Terrell locked him up. And it wasn't true, but that's what it looked like. AJ Terrell played some good defense, right? But Terry could have got him if some of those passes were put on the money, and they weren't. And he could sense that he was frustrated, and he went to him and he said, hey, stay with me. You're going to make a play. Don't worry about it. And it's just little things like that that keep guys engaged, right? That's the difference between a guy going on the sideline, sulking, being ready to snap, and a guy saying, all right, we're going to make this happen. And you just love to see it from a guy this young in his NFL career, understanding the moment, understanding his role and his impact and how he can impact others by just one simple little sentence to Terry, right? One little couple of sentences rather. Hey, look at me. Stay with me. You're going to make a play in this game. Just quick. 7 seconds. Then he goes to Ertz, daps him up. And just like that, we mentally back engaged in the game, right? And you don't lose the best player on offense not named Jayden Daniels. So I thought that was fantastic, right? And, you see his interaction with all the players on the team. You see his interaction with the guys on the other team. And we always see Jayden talking to other players. And it's not uncommon in this league to see, a player from another team talking to a player from the opposition. But you see it on a weekly basis with Jayden. Like Jayden is a guy that's going to talk to. We've seen him talking to dudes on the sidelines. Like obviously Malik Neighbors is his boy. That's his best friend. So, when we played the Giants, both times he was talking to Malik Neighbors, right? We've seen him, chop it up with the opposition. And you always wonder what's being said because we know Jayden ain't going to talk no shit. He not Phillip Rivers. He ain't out here trash talking the opposition. And so, it was cool to hear him talking to Jesse Bates III and tell him, hey, OG, you the truth, essentially. Like, you a beast, man. Keep doing your thing. Mad respect for you. You a playmaker. And he was like, bro, same to you. You going to make a lot of noise in this league for a long time. You got a chance to be one of the greats. Like, this is what's being said to this man. 15 games, now 16 games in to his rookie season, right? And then at the end, those same two embraced, and he said, I told you got a chance to be one of the best to ever do it, man. Keep going. And obviously he dapped up Michael Penix. That was, we knew they had a good relationship. He talked about it prior to the game. And so, they went and dapped each other up. Clearly, he's really cool with Drake London. He was like, yo, I'm going to hit you up. So they already got each other's numbers. So that was pretty cool to see him. Kirk Cousins told him, great job, man. You're doing a great job. You're fun to watch, all that good stuff. One of the things I enjoyed, because so many people talked about how hard Jayden was hit. Like, and Jayden was like, what hard hit? I didn't get hit hard on Sunday. He was in a pile. He got hit, and there's like 3 Falcons defenders tackling him. This man is laughing as he's getting tackled in a pile, getting driven backwards. And I couldn't help but laugh because my quarterback is also a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you got to know when to show your toughness, and you got to know when to run out of bounds, when to slide. Your toughness is not always required. Sometimes it's better to be smarter than tough, right? Some guys want to be tough all the time, like Anthony Richardson, and that's how your ass end up missing 3, 4, 5, 6 games a year. You got to know when to be tough, and we needed him to be tough on that final drive of the game, the opening drive, the only drive of overtime. We needed him to be a tough guy. Game's on the line. Is winning time. Go get it. But to see him laughing on that was the possession where we had the touchdown. Cosme negated it with the holding penalty, and we ended up settling for a field goal. That he was laughing. He ran it down inside like the 5-yard line to like the 3. They bottled him up. There was like 3 Falcons defenders driving him into the turf, and he's laughing the entire time. It was just crazy, man. But that's, again, my quarterback's a tough guy. He's a tough son of a bitch. I love him, man. And just to see his interaction with everybody, Marcus Mariota, we had already heard that million times over on social media, telling him, hey, get up, get your win, and I remember being a kid having coaches always say, ain't no air down there, get up, because the first thing you want to do when you're tired is you want to take a knee, right? And so Marcus told him, get up, no, get up, and, get your win, get your air, all right? Use your God-given abilities, go win us the game, all right? And Jayden heard that, and he did exactly that. And he was definitely gassed at the end of the game, but he delivered, as he always does. And so, man, I enjoyed that mic'd up thoroughly. And I can't wait to see what this kid has in store for us in the future. And when I say in the future, I'm talking about in the playoffs. Playoffs? I can't wait to see what he has in the future for us. I'm just talking playoffs this year, right? Like, this is when it really counts. This is when people will really start to judge you, what you do in the postseason. I want to come out the gate swinging first year in the playoffs, do some damage right off the bat. Do you know that if we win 2 games in the playoffs, if Jayden Daniels wins 2 games, he'll have the same amount of postseason victories as both Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts in 1 year. That's it, right? That's all it would take, is for him to win 2 games. Now, obviously, if Hurts, and he will start their first playoff game this year, and they win, he'll have 3 playoff wins. But Jayden can match him and Dak in one fell swoop. I think Dak only beat the Lions, and then he beat the Bucks. I think he's only won 2 playoff games in however many years he's been a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He can match those guys in one season, his first season. He's that good. My buddy, before we go to the next thing, my buddy, who's a Raiders fan, I've told you about him. He was like, yo, Jayden Daniels is must-see TV. He's like, I haven't felt this way about a player in the NFL since Michael Vick. And all I could do was smile when he said that, because it's levels to this shit. And for those of you old enough to have went through the Vick experience, they called it the Michael Vick experience. For those of you of a certain age that watched Michael Vick play when he first came into the league and took that shit over, culminating in him being on the Madden cover in 2004, that Michael Vick experience was unlike any other. We had never seen anything before, and we hadn't seen anything since. This is the closest. And he's like, even with Lamar's spectacular, he's special, but Lamar was never the passer that Vick was from the pocket, right? He's developing into that. Like, this is the best we've seen Lamar be from the pocket. But Jayden Daniels, he said, there's a chance in any given snap that he can do some shit I've never seen before. I got to watch every single play. That's high praise from my buddy, because my friend will turn a game off or he'll go to sleep at halftime in a second. No hesitation. But that's real, and that's the type of effect that Jayden Daniels has. You know what I call it, the Jayden Daniels effect, right? Which leads me to our other co-lead story, right? So Super Bowl or the playoffs, Super Wildcard Weekend is going to feature 6 games, right? 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday, right? So I like to predict when the games are going to be. So this is what it looks like right now. Obviously, subject to change, right? We could end up with the 7 seed. We could stay at the 6 seed. The Rams could stay at the 3 seed. They could fall to the 4 seed. The Eagles could, the Packers could move up from the 7 seed to the 6 seed. They could stay there. Obviously, Minnesota could end up with the 1 seed. Detroit can end up with the 5 seed. So there's still some shuffling of the deck, right? On that side, on the AFC side, the 1 and the 2 seeds are spoken for already, but the Ravens could lose the division and the Steelers could move into the 3 seed. The Ravens could stay there. The Steelers could go from the 5 seed where they currently are positioned to the 6 seed if they lose, coupled with a Chargers win. Chargers can move up from 6 to 5, or they could stay right where they are. And then obviously Denver could not make the playoffs altogether. That could be Miami. That could be Cincinnati, but more likely than not, it's going to be Denver. So a lot of changes still to be made. But here's what doesn't change in the NFL playoffs. All right. Stars will be marketed. All right. Needle movers will be put on the biggest stages. Okay. That doesn't change. Okay. Here's something else that doesn't change. The AFC South winner will always be the first game. Always. Because it's the worst ratings draw for the NFL. Who loves AFC South football? Raise your hand. Nobody, right? So guess what? Only the fans of those teams. It's the worst football in the NFL. Even they'll probably tell you that. But I digress. We know who's going to be first on Saturday, 4:30, when the playoffs start. Super Wildcard Weekend gets kicked off 4:30 on Saturday afternoon next week. It'll be the Houston Texans at home hosting whoever the 5th seed is. Okay? Whoever the 5th seed is. My guess is it'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I think the Steelers are going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals tonight on Saturday Night Football. But we'll see what happens. So whoever the Houston Texans are playing, that's going to be the first game on Saturday. All right? So here's something you got to know. The NFL is going to market its star quarterbacks. They want them in primetime spots. They want them on their biggest stages. So I'm just telling you right now, Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders will either be playing Saturday night or Sunday night. One of the two. Okay? So in my mind, it just comes down to who the opponent is. If we're playing the Rams as it's situated right now, that's a Saturday night game. That's Saturday night, 8:30 p. Remember, Rams are a West Coast team, so they got to make sure that they schedule that game at a time slot that makes sense for the West Coast fans, right? So that's an 8:30 p. game on Saturday. That's the only way the Rams end up on, a massive stage, is if they're playing us because of Jayden Daniels. Now, if the Rams somehow end up out of that 3 seed and it ends up being Tampa, that then to me becomes a Sunday game. It's no longer a Saturday night type of affair, right? Now you move that game to Sunday. You either get 1 or 2 slots on Sunday. You're not going to be 1 o'clock on Sunday. That's not a good enough slot. It's either going to be 4:30 on Sunday afternoon, or it's going to be 8:15 Sunday night. I'm banking on the 8:15 Sunday night if it's Tampa Bay. Or if it's Philadelphia. If we fall to the 7 seed and have the Eagles, it's definitely Saturday night. Without question, Sunday night. Sunday night. It'll be Sunday night. Okay? It'll be the best game of Wild Card Weekend if it's Eagles and Commanders, right? If it's Tampa Bay, you could be Sunday night, but you more likely than not will be Sunday afternoon, 4:30, if you ask me. You're not going to see Jayden Daniels on Monday night. I think if Tampa stays in the 4 seed, I think that's the team, because also keep this in mind, the NFL rewards its higher seeded teams, meaning they will never put their highest seeded teams at a disadvantage. You've earned the right to not have a short week. What do I mean by that? So if you play on Monday, theoretically speaking, you have a short week, right? You play on Monday, and then you either play on Saturday or Sunday. That's a short week in the NFL, right? Especially if you have to travel. Now, they're never going to do that to its 2 seeds. You earn the right to play on a Sunday and then not play until next Sunday and get a full complement of rest. They're not worried about the 1 seeds. They're coming off of a bye. So those 1 seeds more likely than not will play on Saturday, right? Because they're coming off a full week's rest. So what you want to do is you want to take your 2 seeds. You want them to play on either Saturday or Sunday. And you don't want to put them at a disadvantage. So both of your 2 seeds should be playing, theoretically speaking, on Sunday, right? To allow them the full allotment of rest, and then you play them again next Sunday. So there's no short week for your 2 seeds, right? So in my mind's eye, Houston's going to be the first game on Saturday. The second game is going to be us and the Rams if the Rams stay as the 3 seed and we stay as the 6 seed. We'll be Saturday night. If we fall out of the 6 seed or the Rams fall out of the 3 seed, then that game, Washington's game, moves to Sunday. And in that 8 o'clock night slot, you're probably going to get some combination of Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert or some other star quarterback, right? Some other iteration. Okay. So if you then, so it's either going to be a Washington game with Jayden Daniels as your headliner Saturday night, or it's going to be Lamar Jackson as your headliner Saturday night. One of the two. Okay. One of the two. Okay. So then you go to Sunday. Whoever the Steelers are playing, if the Steelers end up as the 4-5 matchup, they'll be playing on Saturday. But if the Steelers end up in a 3-6 matchup versus Baltimore, I would think that would be your 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Okay. Like if it's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and I think it could be a Saturday night game, but the likelihood is you'll take Justin Herbert and whoever they're playing. So again, if Herbert isn't in this 6-3 matchup, he's going to be in the 4-5 matchup. So he'll be Saturday at 4:30, right? But if Lamar is playing in this 3-6 game, I think they're going to be Saturday night no matter what, right? Saturday night no matter what. So you get to 1 o'clock, I think you're going to get Buffalo and Denver or whoever the 7 seed is at 1 o'clock. Okay, because whoever Buffalo's playing, unless it's Joe Burrow. If it's the Dolphins, it's definitely 1 o'clock on Sunday. Nobody cares about the Dolphins getting in, right? And even Denver getting in is cool, but that's not much CTV. You expect Buffalo to take care of business there. That'll be your 1 o'clock game on Sunday, right? Josh Allen against Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. That's your 1 o'clock game. Your 4:30 game is either going to be the Commanders if they don't play on Saturday night. Again, if they're against the Rams, they're playing Saturday night. If they're playing the Bucks, I think you're going to get the Commanders and Bucks on 4:30 on Sunday. Okay. And then you'll get Eagles Packers Saturday night. Or Sunday night, excuse me. Eagles Packers Sunday night. Now I could flip-flop Eagles Packers at 4, Commanders and Bucks are at Sunday night, but it'll be, one of those two, right? It'll be one of those two. You get your 2 seeds on Sunday and the Commanders there as well, right? And then Monday to me, it's an easy one to kind of depict because I honestly believe if it stays the way that it looks now, Bucks and Vikings, like if the Bucks stay in a 4 seed, whomever they play, they're getting them on Monday. They're getting them on Monday. Whoever the 4 seed is in the NFC is playing on Monday. Point blank, end of discussion. If it's Tampa Bay, that's the Monday night game. If it's the Rams, it's the Monday night game. Okay? That one's easy to kind of decipher. So I can almost guarantee you that the first game of the playoffs will be the 4 seed, and the last game of the playoffs will be the 4 seed. Right? Again, the NFL is always going to try to set it up so that the teams that have won the most games, who have done the most, who are the higher seeded teams, get the advantage. If you're a 4 seed, you're at a disadvantage. You're the lesser of the division winners. So we're going to treat you as such. So we're going to have you play first, right, on Saturday, and we're going to have you play last on Monday. So either way, you get in a short week because you're the 4 seed. We don't respect you like we respect the 3 and the 2 seeds. So we're going to treat you as such, right? So the first game of the playoffs is going to be the 4-seeded Houston Texans. The last game of Super Wildcard Weekend on Monday night is going to be the 4 seed in the NFC. Whether that's Tampa Bay or the Rams makes no difference. That's going to be the Monday night game, right? So if you're a Commanders fan, you're going to be in one of 3 spots. I can all but guarantee you're going to be in one of 3 spots because of Jayden Daniels. You're either going to be playing on Saturday night, Sunday night, or Sunday at 4:30, which they still consider a big-time spot for them. Okay? You're in one of 3 spots. I can assure you, you will not be playing on Saturday at 4:30. I can assure you will not be playing on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And I can assure you, you will not be playing on Monday night. I can assure you, you will not be playing on Monday night. So that is where the Commanders lie in all of this. We're either going to be on Saturday at 8:15, Sunday at 8:20, or Sunday at 4:30. one of 3 spots because of Jayden Daniels. When you got that kind of star power at the quarterback position, they're going to put you in a premier spot because there is no hotter ticket in the NFL than Jayden Daniels at this current moment. He is must-see TV. So, remember what I told you. So, here's my final prediction. I've given you a lot of scenarios, ifs, thens, buts. Here's what I think is ultimately going to happen. I think the Commanders are going to win. I think the Packers are going to win. Commanders are going to keep the 6th seed. Packers are going to remain the 7th seed. Okay. I think the Rams are going to lose. I think the Bucks are going to win. Bucks are going to slide into the 3-hole. Rams are going to be your 4th seed. All right. So when it's all said and done, you're going to have in the NFC Rams and Vikings, because I think the Vikings are going to lose to the Lions tonight. So you're going to have Rams and Vikings, you're 4 and you're 5 on Monday night. That's Monday Night Football. All right. On Sunday, right, you're going to get let's go in order, right? So we're going to start from the latest game all the way down to the 1 o'clock game. So Sunday night, you're going to get Eagles, Packers. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Bucks, Commanders because of Jayden, but I think Eagles in Packers, that has a chance to be a really good game too. One of the best games in Wildcard Weekend. So I think you get that on Sunday night. Okay. You get Commanders and Bucks. If it was a little bit more high profile, this is a Sunday night game, but it's not because like Baker Mayfield is cool, but it's not enough. So Jayden and the Commanders take on the Bucks in the 3-6 game, and that's your 4:30 game. Right. And then at 1 o'clock on Sunday, you get Bills and Broncos, right? Because I think the Broncos are going to win their game against the Kansas City Chiefs and clinch the final playoff spot in the AFC. So that's your 1 o'clock slate on Sunday. So those are your 1 o'clock games, or those are your Sunday games, right? And then on Saturday, you get your 2 games. The night game is going to be Ravens and Chargers. I think the Steelers are going to win to keep themselves out of a 3-6 matchup with the Ravens. So Ravens and Chargers, big time matchup between 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL squaring off on Saturday night. And then in the first game of the playoffs, you're going to get Houston hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Houston hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Saturday at 4:30, Texans, Steelers to kick off the playoffs. Nightcap, Ravens, Chargers, right? Go to Sunday, 1 o'clock, AFC matchup, 2-seeded Bills taking on the 7-seeded Broncos. 4:30, Commanders will be on the road taking on the Buccaneers in a 3-6 matchup. Nightcap, Eagles, Packers, big-time matchup, 2-7 game to cap off Sunday. Then you get to Monday night, you're going to get the 4-5 matchup, Rams hosting the Minnesota Vikings. That's what I see happening, and we'll see what takes place. But I digress. I'll see how many of those I get right. I feel really confident about those. In any event, let's transition to in other news, because we heard from Ron, about to call that man Ron Rivera. Lord have mercy. He was on my brain because I can't believe the Jets they interviewed this man for their head coach in Vegas. He said, look, you got to cross all of your T's. You got to dot all of your I's. I'm fully aware of that. But my goodness, Ron Rivera, really? If you're looking for a culture change with the Jets, you're a mess. I get that he was here when we were at, maybe at our messiest. He was here, but he didn't make the situation any better, right? But okay, whatever. But we did hear from DQ, so we'll talk about what was said there. I also want to talk about the playoff watch party that we'll be having next weekend for the Commanders game, whether it's on Saturday night, which is very possible if the Rams win. I think it's 100% certainty if the Rams win, we'll be playing them Saturday night. But if the Rams should lose, coupled with the Bucks win, then the Rams would move to the 4 seed. The Bucks would slide into the 3 seed, and I think that then becomes a Sunday afternoon game instead of a Saturday night game. Now, again, they could just the draw of Jayden Daniels could lure them into keeping that game at Saturday night. and putting that Ravens, Chargers game at 4:30 on Sunday. But whatever the case may be, I'm assuring you as a Commanders fan, we're playing in one of three spots: Saturday night, Sunday night, Sunday afternoon. One of those three. I'll be shocked if this Commanders team, because of Jayden Daniels, is placed anywhere else on that Super Wildcard Weekend schedule. So we'll talk about what DQ had to say. We'll talk about the playoff watch party that we're having next weekend. But before we get to any of that, we got to get to this injury report, because this was one of the more shocking injury reports, I must say, that we've had all season, in a good way. I was shocked to see how many guys, like, they're really going for this shit. Like DQ said right after the game against Atlanta, we're going for it. Like, there was no hesitation, and his actions are backing up the things that he has said. But once again, that shouldn't be a shock to any of you. It's not to me, because DQ hasn't lied to me all season. So let's take a look at the injury report first for the good guys, of course. And we only got 3 guys ruled out. None of them are surprises. Marshawn Lattimore, Jordan McGee, both out with hamstring injuries. But it was good to see McGee get out there on a limited basis this week. That fares well. Now, the only thing that could make me a little nervous is that he was a DNP on Friday. Did he tweak something? Did he re-aggravate it on Thursday? Don't know. I'm just going to assume, because I'm a positive guy, glass half full, that he didn't do anything to it. They just said, all right, we got to see you out there. We feel good about where you are. You're not playing this week. Let's hold you back. Let's get you some treatment, and then we're going to push you a little bit harder next week and see if you can go. Same with Marshawn Lattimore, right? DQ talked about him, and we'll talk about what DQ said about him, which has me just a bit upbeat about his potential for a wild card weekend. I knew Owens wasn't going to play. Biotis isn't playing. I'm shocked that he's not just out. The fact that he's doubtful is crazy to me. We don't need him out there. Look, I get it. Dallas has a hell of a pass rush, and Michael Parsons killed us from the interior last time. And so, am I super comfortable with Michael Dieter out there? No. But look, I'm more concerned with the playoffs, right? And we can get by without Tyler Biotis for a week. So I don't think he's going to play. He's doubtful, and I don't think he's going to play. Cornelius Lucas, I'm shocked that he was doubtful. Glad to see both of them were limited, even though Friday is a glorified walkthrough. Good to see those guys even be limited. I just assumed both of them would be out. There would be no question. But the fact that they're both doubtful means that there's at least a conversation, which means they're very close. Well, I didn't think Cornelius Lucas might even be ready for next week. But it sounds like he'll be ready for next week. We'll have all hands on deck, which is what you want ultimately, right? Austin Eckler, questionable. He's going to play this week. And even if he doesn't, the fact that he's practicing full and DQ is just gushing about how fast and quick this man looks makes me smile to know that he'll be back when we need him the most. KJ Osborne just came up with an illness that, that's a surprise we don't like, but, he's fine. Like, even if he doesn't play in this game, the biggest surprise of this whole thing for me kind of offsets KJ Osborne anyway, because there was a chance he would have been a healthy scratch regardless, because we got one of our receivers back this week that I didn't expect. Tyler Ott didn't practice on Friday, personal reason. Hope everything's okay with him and his family. Hopefully they're adding someone to their family and not maybe necessarily taking someone away, but he was not with the team on Friday. He's questionable. Hopefully he's fine and can go, because the special teams was a mess the last time we played this Dallas Cowboys team. We need to make it right. He's a huge part of that. Dyami Brown is by far and away the biggest surprise of this week's injury report. Thursday, he was able to go on a limited basis. Friday, he was able to go in full. Now, keep in mind, Friday is, like I said, a glorified walkthrough, but the fact that he's no longer even on the injury report, I am just shocked. I just assumed he would be just like Marshawn Lattimore, kind of taking this thing up until next week, up until the deadline, right? We're going to get Dyami Brown in week 18. That's great news. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy and really help us down the stretch. I told you, I value his ability to stretch the field vertically opposite of Terry. Nobody else offers us that. None of the other receivers have the ability to stretch the football field vertically opposite of Terry. OZ has shown the ability to be a hell of a underneath receiver. You can count on Luke to do a little bit of the same. Jamison Crowder, great in the slot, can win underneath and in the intermediate, but nobody else is stretching the field vertically but Diami. So he's huge to me, to the success of this team in terms of keeping the field balanced. Because if you want to double Terry over the top, you want to go single high, and you want to double somebody, it's going to be Terry. Well, if you give Diami Brown one-on-one, I don't care who your corner is, he can run by him, because a lot of people, I think, underestimate his speed. And he's got the ability to, if you squatting on something, to run right by you. Him coming back is massive. You know, I hope he just stays healthy. We knew Cleve was fine. We knew Terry was going to play. And then Andrew Wiley coming back from the groin. I'm not too surprised there. You know, DQ talked him up early in the week on Wednesday, and he said he was close last week. Anytime DQ tells you someone's close the week prior, that means more likely than not they'll be ready to go the following week. So no surprise that Andrew Wiley is back. Good to get, you know, I'm glad he's back, because I want to get this offensive line back together. It would have been nice to have Biotish, you know, healthy, but he's not, and I want him healthy. So we'll make do with what we have. But this is a really promising injury report. Way more promising than the one we got last week, and way more promising than it looked on Wednesday when we had like 8 or 9 guys out of practice on Wednesday. So a big improvement from where we were early in the week, or even this time last week. Again, with the Cowboys, I don't want to spend too much time on this. There's a bunch of names of dudes who don't move the needle necessarily. There's a few names up here that are impact players for Dallas, but for the most part, everybody's going to play. Except for the, you know, one DMP that's up here. There may be 1 or 2 other guys that, again, aren't all that impactful, like a Nick Vigil that may not play. But, you know, most of these guys are going to play. You know, I'm not getting hung up over who is or isn't playing for Dallas. They're not good. And if we can't beat them, that's a us thing. That ain't a Dallas thing. That's a us problem. So not really too concerned. The only thing that would have moved the needle for me is if Michael Parsons somehow was not playing this game. He's playing in this game. He's fine. So not really going to spend too much time on Dallas's injury report, because, again, most of their guys are going to play, and it's not about them. It's about us. It's really what it boils down to. It's not about them. It's about us. They're starting Trey Lance, for God's sake. Okay? They're starting Trey Lance. We'll get to that a little bit later on. We'll talk more about it. But if we can't beat the Cowboys with Trey Lance, then they really got some serious mind control over us on some Debo shit. Okay? But we'll get to that a little bit later on in the program. Let's talk about what DQ had to say. A lot of his press conference was centered around, he started off by talking about the captains, and let's see if I can recollect who these captains were. Offensively, Zach Ertz. He said he's been through a lot of NFC East battles, felt like he was the right man for the job. So he was the offensive captain. Defensively, it was Dorrance Armstrong playing against Dallas. You know, DQ, one of his favorite things to do when you're playing against your former team, he likes to make at least one of those guys a captain. If Biotish were healthy, he probably would have been the captain today, but he's not. So he went with Ertz. He went with Dorrance to give you a little bit of that former Dallas flavor. And then on special teams, it was Percy Butler. And he's been really good on special teams. And so he talked about that. But the bulk of this presser was kind of centered around like the injury, you know, the front. And then a lot was made of, and rightfully so. We talked about this on the show yesterday, but Cliff Kingsbury, you know, potentially accepting, you know, a job offer, you know, in the offseason. He's going to be a hot commodity, but, you know, DQ was just in that seat a year ago. And DQ 2 years ago had a chance to take the Jacksonville job. They wanted him very badly, or 3 years ago, rather, I think it was. Whenever they hired Doug Peterson, feels like it was about 3 years ago. They wanted him badly. And then 2 years ago, he had a chance to interview for the Denver job, and he wasn't interested, right? So he stuck around a lot longer, because after his first year, remember, Dallas was the worst defense in the league in 2020. They were historically bad in 2020. DQ comes in first year in 2021, turns that thing around to one of the best defenses in football. They win 12 games, And he had the pick of the litter. He could have been in Jacksonville. He could have been in Indy. There were a lot of jobs that were available and they were interested, but he wasn't because he was looking to be selective. And he said, that's the biggest thing is Cliff, having been in the seat before, understands the process now. And now you have it when you have already sat in that seat and you understand what went wrong the first time, you're a lot more selective the second time around. And that's what DQ pretty much said was like, look, I know, speaking from experience, I was just in that seat last year. You're a lot more selective. You don't want to go to a situation that, because if you're in a good situation, and that's the key, right? Like DQ was in a good situation in Dallas. They won 12 games every year that he was there. They were going to the playoffs. The defense was good every year. I'm not in a rush to leave, right? Because my team's going to be good every year. And my defense is going to be good every year. So I'm going to be a hot commodity every year. So there's no rush, right? Just like Ben Johnson. I got all the weapons I need. I got all these, talented running backs. I got a dominant offensive line. Jared Goff is doing a masterful job. This is going to be a good unit. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm in no rush. I'm going to wait for the perfect opportunity for me, right? Which I think is Cincinnati for Ben Johnson. But I said that to you guys yesterday. But for Cliff, it could be Chicago, right? It's a dysfunctional organization. If I were Cliff, I wouldn't go there. But the allure of coaching Caleb might be enough to sway him away. But Cincinnati would be ideal if you're Cliff. Like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, that offensive group. What? Like, yeah, that's where I would want to go. That's where any coach would want to go. If they do, in fact, fire Zach Taylor, we'll see what happens. But the rest of those jobs suck ass. Jets' job is a mess. The Saints' job is a mess. The Jags' job, they're probably going to fire Doug Peterson. That's a mess, right? There are not a lot of good jobs out there. The Bears' job is, to me, a mess because it's a dysfunctional organization. But, you get the right coach in there, you could turn things around, and maybe Cliff might be that guy. But he talked about, that whole decision-making process. And, this is another thing that you got to consider with Cliff that you don't always have is the fact that Cliff is still getting paid good money by the Arizona Cardinals. And he will be paid good money for at least the next 2 or 3 years, right? So Cliff could hang back, wait for the perfect job. He's coaching one of them ones. Like you're not going to be able to leave one of them ones and go to another situation where you got one of them ones unless you're going to Cincinnati. Those type of jobs don't open up that often where you're getting to coach one of them ones. So the thought process is I could just hang tight, wait for the perfect opportunity, and then strike when the iron's its hottest. We'll see what kind of a press the Bears put on Cliff and maybe even Cincinnati if that job becomes available. Those are the only two that I think are capable of snatching him away and prying him away from us. But I feel confident we're going to get at least one more year, Cliff. That's all I want. You can do whatever you want after year 2. Just give me one more year to create stability for my young quarterback and kind of give another year of all this entire staff being here to really ingrain what's being done into them so that when Cliff does move on, the next guy that's already here in-house can step in seamlessly, transition, and we don't have to change up the offense. We don't have to change up the way things are being done because we already see what the winning formula looks like. I just need more than 1 year of that. So DQ talked about that. He talked about, going for it, versus, talking about the playoffs. He's like, that's just not how we built. That's not how we wired. We're not even worried about the playoffs right now. We trying to get this win over Dallas. Like, we got a chance to win 12 games. We got a chance to be the 6th seed, and, most importantly, we got to get this run game back on track. We ain't ran it effectively since the bye week. So, yeah, we won 3 straight, but it hasn't been the way we want to win, right? We want to win running the football effectively with the running backs. So, I just love his mentality, his mindset, which is, we going for it, bro. I absolutely love it. Like you get further into your process and you know where you are, You can't move up or down. Yeah, no, we'll rest everybody. We got something on the line. We're a young team. Let's keep this momentum going. All right, we need all the momentum we can get heading into the postseason. So he talked about that. He all talked about the threats that the Cowboys pose. With Trey Lance being the starter can mean for Dallas. Obviously, you're gonna get a heavier dose of the run, et cetera, et cetera. But we got a lot of things to clean up. And this is a good game to try to get some of those things cleaned up. And he talked about turnovers, and obviously we haven't done a great job. And he said something so profound to me. This is why I love DQ. This is why I love this staff. But I've been bragging on this staff since the day they were assembled, right? As this staff was being assembled, you can remember how I was losing my shit. Like, oh my God, we got this all-star staff and all of that shit. The reason I felt that way is because I saw the coaching staff coming together. I've seen what these guys have done in other places. People speak very glowingly and highly of these coaches. And then you put DQ in as the orchestrator. You put him in as the guy that's bringing them all together. And DQ is going to make sure that this shit is tight. And he talked about Brian Johnson's role and how he's been huge. Like, I think he's one of the unsung heroes offensively. When we hired him away from Philadelphia, I said that's a hell of a hire, because he was really impactful in Philadelphia. I thought he got a raw deal with the way shit went down last year. And I think he would be in line to be the next offensive coordinator here if something happened, with Cliff. I think Brian Johnson would seamlessly step into that role and be awesome at it. And he talked about his impactfulness and, how he's been helping, in 2-minute situations, game management, scripting the other team's offense and really putting that together for the 2-minute defense, 2-minute offense. He's been really impactful. And he really spoke to how tight-knit of a group it is from a coaching staff perspective, and why, we've had such success. And it really starts, to me, with the coaching staff, right? And then he was asked about, this roster and really the free agents that have been brought in and how we really hit on almost all of them. I mean, you can't think of one guy that they brought in here who was a non-factor that was a free agent. From, Jeremy McNichols, who was an afterthought, to Olamide Zaccheaus, to Bobby Wagner, to Frankie Louvu, to Jeremy Chin, all the way down the line, right? Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biadasz. Like, you can't think of one guy that they just flat out missed on. You can't. Noah Brown, right? Like, just think about this roster up and down, side to side, right? Front, back, side to side. And you think about all the guys that they brought in here. Outside of maybe a Michael Davis, right? Who I'm really disappointed in, because I thought he was going to be a much bigger contributor. But outside of a guy like Michael Davis, I think just about every guy's hit, man. Like, every guy that we brought in here and said, hey, we got a specialized role for you. Dante Fowler Jr., right? They knocked it out of the park. Even Cleveland Farrell, right? Forcing a fumble last week. Forcing a fumble in week 1. Being, stout against the run at times this season. Like, even he served a purpose. So he was like, you got to give credit to AP, man. Chef P's been cooking it up all year. Even when guys have gone down, even the kicking situation. Remember, traded for a kicker, Cade York, before the season started. And he said, 1 week of this shit is enough. Want my damn 7th round pick back. Got rid of him. Went and got us Austin Seibert and changed the total trajectory of our season. This Seibert was money, including winning us the game the following week versus the Giants with 7 field goals. So he's just pushed every right button. But again, it's just a testament to this team and where they are and how well they played this year. And it starts with AP, Chef P cooking it up, and all the guys. Hey, and then it's not just, I don't know if y'all heard this, but it's not just Cliff Kingsbury that could be in danger. We could be in danger of losing. Like, I've heard that wherever Ben Johnson goes, he wants Lance Newmark to be his general manager. Like, that's how much power Ben Johnson has. He may go somewhere and he may say, hey, it's a package deal. Or they might not have a GM or a head coach, and they may hire Johnson first, and he may come in and say, I want Lance Newmark to be my general manager. There are rumblings that wherever Ben Johnson goes, he wants Lance Newmark as his general manager. I'd hate to lose Lance after 1 year because he's a special evaluator. He's special. But look, this is the cost of doing business. You want to be an elite organization, you have to be prepared to have your shit poached. I'm ready for it. I've been ready. I've been ready. I've been ready for this. You don't got to get ready if you stay ready. I've been ready. Let the poaching begin. That means we good. That means we a triple P. It's starting now. It's starting now. But I'd like to hold on to my stuff for just one more year. You know what I mean? But we're in year one of this recalibration, and it feels good to be, on the cusp, on the precipice of winning 12 games. Got to go through Dallas to get that done. We'll talk about that here in a second, but we are playing in a playoff game. Celebrate! We playing in a playoff game. Man, we go into the offs. We go into the offs. We go into the offs. We are going to the offs, and it feels great. Feels good. Feels good. And we're going to have a party. Party. And so I put the link down in the description of the video last night, pinned it in the comment section. Do the same thing. It's already in the description of this video, right? I'm going to also pin it in the comment section of this video. And I'm really going to go hard next week once we have, all of the particulars. We don't have that right now, but we'll have all of the particulars come Sunday night. Before the Sunday night game, we will know when all these games are going to be played, what time, et cetera, et cetera. And once we get that, we off and we run it. But we do know we're going to be in Richmond. We're going to be turning up. We're going to have ourselves a blast. And I want you guys to be a part of the fun. I cannot wait. It's going to be a crazy, just day full of fun. Like, even if we don't have the desired outcome that we want, then it's just going to turn into a celebration of the season because we are ahead of schedule. But I already told you, I'm guaranteeing a victory because at this point we know who we playing. We playing one of three teams, and personally, we can beat all three of them. Right now, I would prefer to not have to play Philadelphia. Right, I would prefer to let them have to deal with Green Bay because I think Green Bay can go to Philadelphia and beat them personally. But if we got to go to Philadelphia, I don't mind going in there and doing them boys, right? I don't mind. But I'd like to see Green Bay go ahead and handle my lightweight, right? But, if we take care of what we're supposed to take care of, we'll be the 6th seed. And that's going to fetch you either the Bucks or the Rams. I like my chances against both. So, really don't matter. If you asked me to choose between the two, I think I would rather play the Rams. I know there are advantages to playing the Bucks, and I could list some of them, but I like the matchup against the Rams. I'll tell you this: Sean McVay in the playoffs, dangerous, scary dude. And so there's that too. Like, he just finds ways to win in the playoffs, or makes it. I mean, they almost beat the Lions last year in Detroit. And it's Matthew Stafford. And so I understand the challenges that lie there, but I think we can go in there, take over that stadium, make it feel like a home game. I know Stafford ain't running nowhere, so I feel like if we can get any type of pressure, and I don't know if we will or not, but if we can, if this is one of those games where we show up and we start getting pressure, I like my chances, right? But whatever the case may be, we're going to turn up, and I want you to be in attendance. So make sure you're a part of this draft party. Hit that link down in the description. I'll also pin that same link in the comment section of this video. And then we're going to go ham tomorrow, right? We're going to go ham because I'm pretty sure by the time we get to our post-game show, a lot of the pieces of the puzzle will be in place, but it won't be until after the 4:00 games. What does Denver do, right? What does Miami, Denver, and all of that? Because that'll be, I think, the last domino to fall in terms of who's getting in. Like, I think the Falcons and the Bucks play in the 1 o'clock hour. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, both of them play at 1. So we'll know by 4, I think. I know Denver doesn't play until 4. So we won't know about Denver's situation. And I would assume the NFL would be smart enough to put Miami at 4 o'clock as well, so that even if, Denver is taking care of business, they don't know what the situation is. Because Cincinnati, if they lose today, which I think they're going to lose, and Miami loses at 1, well, guess what? Denver doesn't have anything to play for. So the NFL is not going to do that. They're going to make sure that Miami and Denver are playing at the same time. So there's no, taking the game off. You got to make that game count. So can't wait. Bart Scott, can't wait. You don't wait, though. Get your tickets now. All right, get your tickets now. So let's get to the game plan against the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll make this very quick because this iteration of Dallas, I don't respect them. I don't. I respect who they are and what they've been to us. They beat us earlier this season, so I do respect that. But this is a totally different team, from the last time we saw them. There's no CeeDee Lamb in this game, right? There's no, they weren't hopeful when they played us the last time, but they're hopeless now. I mean, the fact that they're starting Trey Lance tells you, Trey Lance at quarterback, if we can't win this game, that actually scares me. And not necessarily going into the playoffs, but that's a loss that can deject you. You lose to Dallas with Trey Lance at quarterback. That can do more harm than good. Going and playing this game to win, and then you don't beat Trey Lance, of all people, right? Again, you can bounce back from that, but that's a bitter pill to swallow. And getting swept by Dallas in a season where they absolutely are garbage can juice is something that I can't stomach. And I can't listen to Boss talking cold hard cash for another year because we couldn't beat them when they were at their lowest. So, but this is the thing. I have no doubts that Jayden, just like he did with the Eagles, second time around, is going to get the job done. All right. He saw you the first time. You got him the first time. All right. It's some get back coming. He's healthier this time than he was the last time. I just expect this to be a totally different game. Totally different game. So I'm expecting us to take care of business. But let's get to the offensive keys to victory. First things first, reestablish the run game. That's probably the most important thing in this game for the Commanders outside of the scoreboard, is reestablishing the run game, right? That's the one thing that we haven't been proficient at since the bye. The last time we were good on the ground as a complete unit was against Tennessee right before the bye. Wasn't good on the ground against New Orleans. That was, I would argue, that was our worst rushing performance of the season. They dominated us up front. That was hard to watch. The following week against Philadelphia, that was a Jayden Daniels game. That was a 5, go win us the game. You got it. Same thing in the Falcons game, right? Hey, you got it, 5. 127 yards passing, 200 or rushing, 227 passing. You got it. Go ahead and get it done. I want him to be able to kick his feet up this week and us be able to get to the Cowboys on the ground. They've been much better run defense-wise. They were awful to start this season. The first probably 12 weeks or so, they were awful. Then we showed up, and it seemed like the run defense showed up from that point forward. They've been better. They were good against Saquon until the third quarter of that game, and everything imploded. They fell apart at the seams in that game. 160 yards rushing is or more is what I'm after in this game. And I don't want 120 of them to be Jayden. Although, if we do get to that territory, I will say Jayden would then be approaching 1,000 yards. And at that point, if we're that close, you might as well reach up and grab it while you're there, right? But that's not what I'm after. All right. Let the running backs run. Let them get their shit off, and let's get that run game reestablished to where we feel confident going into our wildcard weekend matchup against whomever the opponent is. Next offensive key, protect Jayden and the Duke. This is a big one, especially going into the postseason. We've been turning the ball over way too much. We started out this season extremely stingy in terms of turning it over. We just didn't do it. And then I don't know what happened really after the Saints game. I don't think we had a turnover in the Saints game. I don't think. But after that Saints game, we've been a mess, right? We turned it over 5 times against Philadelphia. We turned it over last week. When we were on that losing streak, we turned it over then. You know, hell, we even turned it over against the Titans, right? So I think the only clean game was the Saints game, if I'm not mistaken. I do not think we had a turnover in that game. But we got to be cleaner, man. So no turnovers. You're not allowed a single turnover in this game of any sort. Last time we played Dallas, Jayden threw 2 picks, not 1, but 2. Now, 1 was a Hail Mary, whatever. But the first one was a debilitating one on a screen. That wasn't his fault. But still, can't have that shit. We turned it over 3 times in the game against Dallas the last time. We got to tighten up. You're allowed to be sacked 1 time legitly in this game. 1 time. That's it. There's Michael Parsons on the other side. There's going to be 1 time where Jayden tries to escape the rush and can't, I assume. I hope that's not the case. But this can't be a 4 or 5 sack game like it was the last time we played Dallas. Next offensive key, challenge Cowboys vertically. I want to see us be dynamic in this game, and getting De'Ami Brown back makes me confident that we should be able to challenge the Cowboys vertically. They can't run at the cornerback position. They can't run. They trotted out some bums last week, and the Eagles exposed them. Well, I'm looking to get my shit off too. And I know Deron Bland is probably going to be shadowing Terry. Well, Terry can run past Deron Bland. He better play off and soft and keep everything in front of him. If not, I'm looking to get on top of his ass too. Pause. So I think we can take some shots. I want to take at least 5 shots vertically in this game. I doubt that we do that many, but that's the goal. I'm setting the bar high because we're not a big shot team. We take maybe 2-3 shots a game max. If that, some games we don't even go vertically at all. But there's usually 1 or 2 shots in there. I want 5 this week. I want to open this shit up. Either you take shots to back them up and open up the run game, or you run it effectively, make them bring up another defender, and now that's going to open up opportunities down the field. Either way, I want to see some shots taken, and I want to hit 2 of them. I want 2 shots hit in this game. Bop, bop. Last offensive key. Score, score, score. Now, each score has a different connotation to it. The first score is in regards and reference to the red zone. I want us to be 3 of 4 in the red zone at bare minimum. I'd love to go 3 of 3 or 4 of 4 in the red zone. Fine by me. But no worse than 3 of 4, no worse than 75% in the red zone. You can only have 1 open red zone trip, but you have to have a minimum of 4 if you're going to have 1 open. If you got 3 red zone trips, then you need to be 3 of 3. But if you got 4, then you're allowed to have 1 open red zone trip. The next score is for third downs. 45% or greater on third downs in terms of execution and conversion rate in this game. We've been excellent on third downs here of late. We're at 45% as we currently speak. Let's continue that party and keep it going in the right direction. You know, we're now 10-0 when we're over 40%, at or above 40% conversion rate on third downs. Keep it going. Next and final score is in regards to Terry. I want the record. Okay. I want my guy 17 to break the franchise record for most receiving touchdowns in a single season. We've been on 12 for 2 weeks. This shit should have been broken a long time ago. Right? After he caught that touchdown against Quinyon Mitchell, we knew we had this shit in the bag. And my guy ain't been back to the end zone since. Well, here's an opportunity. The last time we played Dallas in a Week 16 game where I won't say nothing's on the line because we had the division clinched that time, but it was late in the season and we were going into Dallas against a downtrodden Cowboys team looking to do those boys. Jordan Reed and Kirk Cousins broke a record. in that game. Terry needs to break a record in this game. Most touchdowns receiving in a single season by a Washington wide receiver. Make it happen. And en route to doing all of those things, I need 30 or more points scored on Dallas in this game. 30 or more. Now we go to the defensive side of the football. Defensive keys. First one, stop Rico Dowdle, Trey Lance, and the Cowboys rush attack. Rico Dowdle been running that thing. Okay? He been running that thing. And our rush defense ain't been stopping that thing. We ain't been stopping a damn thing on the ground. So I don't know if the adjustment is to come out with Deron playing defensive end this week or not. But stop the damn run. Because he was gashing the Eagles last week. Before all hell broke loose, Rico Dowdle, I'm actually interested. I bet you he averaged over 5 yards a carry against Philadelphia last week. They didn't run it nearly enough because of the circumstances. But my guess is that he averaged close to or above, I'm going to say over 5 yards a carry last week. Rico Dowdle, 23 carries, 104 yards, 4.5 yards a carry. He was kicking their ass. Rico Dowdle was kicking a monkey ass. And this was without CeeDee Lamb. And no real threat at receiver to worry about. And they couldn't stop his ass. So don't think for 1 second we can't get blessed if we don't come with the hard hat. The last time we played him, he kicked our ass. He didn't run for 100, but he kicked our ass. It was the beginning of him leading the NFL in rushing over the last month. We started that shit because he got off on us for like 87 yards or some shit on like 15 carries. And then he went over 100 for the first time in his career against the Giants on Thanksgiving the following week. And then he went ape shit, I think, on Cincinnati the week after and then set a new career high after setting a career high against the Giants. He's been on that type of time. The only game he didn't run wild was against Tampa because nobody runs the ball against Tampa like that. So we got to stop him first and foremost. And then Trey Lance is playing. He's going to use his legs too. So we got to be prepared to stop him as well. That shit is not going to be easy. So we got to stop the run. This is our biggest defensive weakness right now, is stopping the run. And now you're entering in a mobile quarterback into the equation. Hot running back, mobile quarterback against a team that struggles to stop the run. All signs point to this potentially getting really ugly for us if we don't come ready to take care of business. Next defensive key. Make Trey Lance look like Trey Lance. It's really simple. He stinks. Watch him in a preseason game throw 6 interceptions. I did not stutter. He threw 6 interceptions in a preseason game against guys that might not even be in the league right now. He stinks. And the reason you know he stinks is because Dallas has been out of this thing for probably 2 months, and they haven't even thought about starting Trey Lance. They waited till the very last game of the season to start this man. If they thought they had anything in Trey Lance, they would have gave him a spin. He would have spun the block 2 months ago. You would have gave Cooper Rush a couple of games to see if he could turn things around. And then after that, you drop the 3-7. All right, let's just let Trey Lance spin the block and see what he's got. They said, nah, he ass. He good right where he at, on the bench. Make Trey Lance look like Trey Lance. Next defensive key. Make third downs, red zone, and life on offense miserable for Dallas. If Trey Lance is your starting quarterback, life should be miserable for you. Like, this should feel like the Saints game in the first half when Jake Haener was in the game, when they couldn't do shit on offense. I don't expect it to be that extreme because, you know, the Saints weren't all that proficient at running the ball, and Haener was scared shitless. I don't think Trey Lance is going to be scared shitless, and at least he can run. Haener can't. But I want it to look something similar to that, where you're like, yo, they don't got a chance on offense with this clown on the center. That's what I want it to look like. This shit needs to be look discombobulated. He need to be looking like he want to fumble some snaps. You know, he needs to look like he's lost on third downs. You know, I want him to look like he in a preseason game, stinking it up. Make Trey Lance look like Trey Lance. And I need them to be sub 38% on third downs. I need them to be sub 50% in the red zone. Minimum of 2 attempts, right? If they get in there twice, 1 of 2. They get in there 4 times, 2 of 4. They get in there 3 times, 1 of 3. I'm greedy. Just make their life miserable on offense. Trey Lance is their starting quarterback. Lastly, defensively, ball is life. All right. And clean special teams up. Right. I need a clean special teams game. Last time we played Dallas, we had 2 kickoff returns or a kickoff return, go to the house. We had 2 kick returns for touchdowns. Onside kick return for a touchdown, kickoff return for a touchdown. We missed an extra point. I think we missed a couple of extra points or an extra point and a field goal. We were sloppy in that game, special teams wise. We did block a punt. We did block a field goal, but we were sloppy with the handles on special teams. Clean that shit up. All right. Now, I said this the first time. I'm reiterating this. I would not kick to Kevontae Turpin, but Dan Quinn, I think his head is a little thick when it comes to that. The competition aspect of him gets the best of him. So I think they're gonna kick it to him again. I just wouldn't. I just don't see the benefit in it. There aren't many guys on that team that scare me that can hurt you on one given play. He's one of the few, if not the only. The fewer touches he has, the better I feel. But again, that ain't my choice. But here is something we can do. We are +2 in the plus-minus category. Ball is life. Right? Ball is life. Can we get some stops here and take the ball away? I want at least 2 turnovers for it. Trey Lance is the starting quarterback, man. I want at least 2 turnovers in this game. 2. And don't give them nothing. Period. So that takes me to the final outcome of this game. I got the Commanders winning this thing 31-19. I think it's close early. We start a little slow. And then I think as we get to the mid stages of the second, we start to kind of, assert our dominance. And by the time we get, to the midpoint of the third quarter, we've got this thing in control. 31-13. They score a late garbage time touchdown. Go for 2, don't get it, and that's how you get to 31-19. 12 wins. What a hell of a season it would be to finish it with 12 wins in the regular season. We ain't done, clearly. We got postseason aspirations to talk about after this game. But to win 12 games in year 1 of a recalibration, are you kidding me? Wow. Wow. Jayden gets his revenge, goes 4-2 in the division in his first year, splits with both the Cowboys and the Eagles, sweeps the Giants. It's the start of him being dominant in this division. So let's get to the comment section real quick. Social media maneuvers. I'm a midday marauder. Y'all know what it is. Big shout out to the Patreon supporters out there. Love you guys. Couldn't do it without y'all. And of course, the mob. Stand up. We in the building. You know what it is. Big shout out to all of my MOBBers out there holding it down. Let's quickly get to the comment section. I got 2 supers and then we'll bounce. We got football coming on here in the next 10 minutes, so I don't want to hold y'all. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, can we change JC Ice to JD Ice for how cool that man is? He's a cucumber. Mic'd Up, show how calm he is. Also, congrats on your Golden Domers. Yeah, we can't give that to him. That's JC Ice's. But JD is one cool, calm, and collected customer. I do agree with that. He is a one of one, right? He's definitely different with the way he carries himself in ball games. Love this guy to death, and I can't wait to watch him, play his entire career out. It's going to be an honor to be able to say, when it's all said and done, God spare life, that I watched this man's first and last snap and everything in between. And to watch how good he has a chance to be, it's going to be fun, right? And yes, I'm proud of I think we can win the whole thing. I think Notre Dame can win the whole thing. I knew we were going to beat Georgia with a backup quarterback. We're going to beat Penn State. And, Ohio State is the only team that scares me. I know we can beat Texas. I'm not sure if we beat Ohio State or not. I'm not afraid of Will Rogers, but they got more talent than us. There's not many teams in the country where I just, that's left in this pool where I go, hey, they got way more talent than us. Ohio State is one of them teams, they got more talent than us. But we'll see. Texas may be able to handle my lightweight for me, and if I get Texas in the Natty, I feel good about that. We got a chance to win our first Natty since Lou Holtz, man. Yo, that's wild. I think we got a shot. Christopher McLaughlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, C-Mac, thank you for the blessing. As always, my guy. Chris writes, hey, Lou, Happy New Year to you and the family. Likewise. Happy New Year, man, to you and yours, man. Really appreciate you for all the blessings you've bestowed upon the Louie T Network. And many blessings to you and yours in the new year, man. Really appreciate you. He says, 3 questions. 1, what is the Commander player that got snubbed the most not making the initial Pro Bowl, and why? That's easy, Frankie Louvu. Without question, it's Frankie Louvu. He was better than Jared Verse this season. I'm sorry. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I don't know how many sacks Jared Verse had this season. I'd like to think that number's somewhere in the 6 to 8 range. Frankie's got 8. Frankie's been the more, impactful defender. He's got a pick. He's got 2 fumble recoveries. He's got about 5 or 6 passes batted down, so passes defended. He's got a boatload of tackles. That's the one. That's the one for sure. Where do you rank Jayden Daniels in the top 50 players now, and why? That's tough. Now, if you just ask me quarterbacks, he's 6th behind Justin Herbert right now. He's 6th in the league. But he's one of them ones. He's in that small, select group, in that small fraternity of one of them ones. One of them ones, he's a part of that group. Top 50 is tough because now you including all positions. There are a lot of good players in this league, really good players in this league, dominant players in this league. He's in the top 50, though. He's in the top 50. Haven't been able to say that in a while about anybody on this team, probably since Trent Williams. That, hey, we got us a top 50er, right? We got one now. And when that top 100 list come out, we should have at least, I think, 3 dudes on that list. At least 3 dudes on that list. Frankie Louvu, Jayden Daniels, and Terry McLaurin. And Terry will probably be outside of the top 50, but Jayden is definitely in the top 50. And I would tell you that Jayden's probably in the top 25. I would tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the top 20. You'd be hard-pressed to find 21 better players than Jayden Daniels has been in the league this season. You'd be hard-pressed. You look at the quarterbacks, there are only 5 I'm putting ahead of him. You look at the running backs, obviously Saquon is ahead of him. Derrick Henry is ahead of him. I probably would put Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of him, right? You look at receivers, you're putting Jamar Chase, you're putting Justin Jefferson ahead of him. That's probably it. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown, if that tickles your fancy, but I'm not putting him ahead of Jayden Daniels. Tight end, I don't know if there are many. Brock Bowers is in that same conversation, though. Like, Brock Bowers is top 25 right now, too, with Jayden, right? If he's top 25, he's top 30 Like Brock Bowers is a beast. But there are not many tight ends where you go, hey, yeah, make sure you include him in the conversation. Offensive linemen, there are going to be a few of those that, are in that discussion. But there's probably a list of guys you could put together that could push Jayden out of the top 20. He's top 25, though. I'd put him somewhere in that 23 to 25 range. And that's just off the top of the dome. But I wouldn't be shocked if I made a list and then I said I got to about 17 or 18 and said, hey, nah, this is where he belongs right here. And then number 3, what 2 teams do you have in the Super Bowl now and why? I don't have a clue right now as to what I want to do. I still don't even know what because matchups create everything. Styles make fights. So I can't even tell you who is playing each other right now. Right? We could still be playing Philadelphia. We could be playing the Rams. We could be playing the Bucks. I like our chances and all, but I like my chances more in certain games, right? Like Green Bay is a tough matchup for Philadelphia. It's a tough matchup for the Eagles, right? That changes everything. If that's the matchup, they could beat them, right? Now, if they beat them, they could go to Detroit and beat the Lions. They played them before, or Minnesota, whoever that is, right? Same thing, vice versa. If Detroit loses tonight and they got to go to Tampa, Tampa's already beaten Detroit this year. They're not afraid of them. That could change everything, right? So hard for me to really say right now. You got to ask me that question after the bracket is complete and we know all the matchups. Then I can tell you how I feel, right? Because the Steelers could play the Ravens in Wildcard Weekend. They could go to Baltimore and beat them. They can go to Baltimore and beat them. So, we got to see what this thing looks like. Joe Burrow could still get in this thing. Go to Denver or excuse me, go to Buffalo in Super Wildcard Weekend. And he did it 2 years ago. Went to Buffalo in the snow and bust those boys over the skull. He's capable, right? So I can't tell you right now. Come back and ask me that same question next week and I'll have an answer for you probably. Or at least a clearer picture. Abel Ambrosio, been a member for 24 or 26 months. Really appreciate you. Who writes, we got news that Eckler is active tomorrow. Not surprised by that. I think we all assumed that would be the case, right? So I'm not shocked there. I don't think any of you are either. So I expect him to play. DQ was, gushing about him on Wednesday. Really Monday. So that told me all I needed to know about X status. He's practiced full all week. Hell, we knew last week that there was a chance he could play this week. So not surprised there. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. All right, Lou, we made it to the playoffs and we didn't welcome back. You low-key be spitting bars on that I Got 5 remix. I appreciate it. Just having a little fun, man. But we do got one of them ones. And anytime I know I need something, I got 5 on it. Feel really good about that. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Been a member for 40 months. Really do appreciate you. Meta, who writes, got us one of them ones. Let's enjoy the next 5 games. Let's enjoy the next 5 games. Sounds good to me. Let's do it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Let's get it. Let's get it. So that is going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News Live, Saturday edition. These are rare, but necessary. I know it's been a little bit convoluted over the last 2 weeks with this holiday season, but we'll get back to a level of normalcy. But we got 2 more games on this Saturday slate. We'll jump on later on tonight, talk about those 2 games. And that will kind of start to clear up the playoff picture just a tad bit heading into tomorrow. But as far as the Commanders are concerned, we know what we got to do. Our equation is simple. Beat Dallas, you're the 6th seed. And whether it's Tampa or the Rams, really don't give a shit, to be honest with you. Feel good about either one. And all we can do is control what we can control. and that's beating Dallas and remaining the 6th seed. So let's hope that they do that. Leave your score and more down in the comment section of this video. What do you think is going to happen? And can't wait to read your responses. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. And don't forget, playoff watch party link is in the description of this video, right? I'm going to pin that to the comment section as well. We will really, really get knee deep into that, though. And again, if you're coming no matter what, then don't wait. Buy your tickets, right? I'll explain everything in greater detail on Monday, because we'll have all the information we need, and we'll really be able to start locking in on a bunch of stuff. But if you come in, no matter what, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and it's not going to be Monday, I can assure you it ain't going to be a Monday game. But if you come in, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, go ahead and get your ticket. Don't wait. Go be great, right? But if you need to see when the game is to know if you can attend, totally get that. We'll have that clarity tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that. But the link is in the description here. The link is will be in the comment section, and I'm going to also put it on my community tab as well. But in any event, Marks closes us out. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Marks writes, don't you wish he was your quarterback? Yeah, they wish, boy. Don't you wish he was your quarterback? I'll see you guys next time. Take care. God bless. And good night.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first